Welcome to the Brendan Brown's Culture Facts Theories podcast show. We have a guest today, a Christian artist named Max Walter. And Max Walter, how are you doing? And welcome to the show.
What's up, man? What's up? Thank you for the invite, man. I'm doing good, man. Just enjoying this life, trying to make the most of it, pretty much, man.
That's good. You know, what inspired you to do music?
Oh my goodness, a lot of it comes from. I think a lot of it comes from just my childhood, and some different stuff. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this artist. His name is NF. He's a super. Obviously, he's a big artist now, but just kind of growing up, I really just kind of fell in love with his music, of just kind of just relating to a lot of his, I guess you could say, like trauma and a lot of his pain. And his story is pretty similar to what mine is. And so when I was growing up and I was kind of dealing with a lot of things that I'm still pretty much trying to deal with and still trying to work through, I found music as a really healthy outlet, and as a way to kind of, as a therapy, if you could say, if you will. And it just inspired me just to be able to create and find an avenue, just to be able to write music that obviously is super therapeutic for me, but also hopefully relatable for other people as well, and help them as well. So
yeah, would you like to share your struggles that you went through, to become who you become today?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll share.
Yeah, man. So I grew up in Denver, Colorado, and my mom and dad, pretty much, to make a pretty long story short, they split up when I was about 7 years old. And my mom, unfortunately, she had a lot of trauma from her past, and she didn't really deal with it necessarily in the right ways. And she fell into a lot of drinking, and so she pretty much became an alcoholic right when we were pretty much born, and probably pretty much before that too. And my mom was pretty much from those times just in and out of jail, pretty much my whole life. And my dad, who was a single father, had to raise me and my three younger sisters. And I don't know what your situation is, and I'm thankful, because mine definitely could have been worse. But when you got two parents that are divorcing, and there's a parent that's incarcerated, and a lot of alcohol and a lot of violence in the room, it's just not the greatest thing that a kid should have to go through. And that was pretty much part of my story of growing up. Is that's what happened. My mom was, unfortunately, I think she just became really addicted to trying to numb herself, instead of trying to deal with the pain that she had as a kid growing up. And because she never dealt with it, it kind of fell over onto us and my dad. And anyways, I will say, my mom is in a lot better place now. She's out the system, and she's doing very, very well, for what it's worth for her end. And the Lord, most importantly, the Lord's done a lot of healing and forgiveness through that. And so I'm still definitely dealing with it, I think. And as I continue to get older, I start to see how much I missed out on as not having my mom around when I was a kid. Of course, and I got three younger sisters as well, and for them too. And so, anyways, yeah, and that's pretty much a piece of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I can relate to you with that, man. But except the divorce part. The divorce part never happened, but I did dealt with a family member who did have alcoholic problems before too.
Oh,
so
man.
I can relate to you on that. And the big mental health thing, I'm really a big advocate for that. So any advice or any any advice that you can give to people who are dealing in a situation similar to that or something? And even with that, have you dealt with any traumas after answering that first question?
Yeah. Any advice? I'll just put it like this. I think just to know that, I think when I was a kid and I was actually going through the things that I was going through and bouncing back and forth between the houses, and I just thought it would never end. I just thought that I would always have to feel the way I felt. I have to watch my mom do the things she did, and so on and so forth. That just wasn't true, because first and foremost, pain obviously doesn't last forever. And I think just to keep your hope in the Lord, and knowing that it's not his will for people to struggle. It's not his will. He didn't create this world for people to struggle like that. But unfortunately, because of our sin and because of our human nature within us, we battle and we make mistakes. And even myself, I'm not perfect either. I've made many mistakes, but just to remember that that the Lord can bring good out of any evil that the enemy might bring upon. Just to hang on and know that, you know, Christ is with you, but also just to know that that it will end and it's not going to last forever, I guess is part of the advice I could give.
That's good. The second question is, have you dealt with any trauma from that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of moments and, you know, kind of things that I should share, I shouldn't share. I think there was a lot of, unfortunately, with the way that it was, and there was a lot of like abusive situations, and there was a lot of things that I think honestly, besides like just from getting abused and whatnot, just kind of what that brings, I think just missing out on a mom growing up, I think is the biggest traumatic thing I think that happened. And when you say the word trauma, it's such an interesting word because it's like, what does that necessarily mean? Because it can mean so many different things for people, you know? But for me, and obviously I'm sure whoever's listening and whoever can relate that has a parent that, or maybe not even a parent, but an uncle and aunt, whoever, like a person that watches over them that's dealing with this, I think there's a lot of trauma and just missing out. Because like I had said before, God didn't create kids to grow up with one parent. You know what I mean? He didn't create the world just to be as broken as it is. And that's why he came, obviously, and saved us from it. And we got a chance to make something out of this cold world before he comes back and before our time ends. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's good. And you know, whenever the Lord blesses you to get to this potential, to, you know, your peak of like being a rapper and just being successful in what you're doing, even with your basketball. Yeah. Would you ever want to be a mental health advocate in the future or anything?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm extremely thankful for the platform that the Lord has given me, and through my music and through what I'm doing, I would definitely advocate for mental health. And I used to be against, not be against necessarily. We were forced when I was kids. They forced us to go to what they call victim counseling. When you're it's people. There's a lot of people that have a hard time with counseling because they're like, I don't want to sit down and talk to somebody I don't know about my problems. From my personal experience, as I've grown up and as I've actually, through the school that I've been at, they provided free counseling. I've actually benefited a lot from that. And just being involved in a good community, I definitely recommend getting yourself, because here's the truth, is like exactly what happened to my mom is like, my mom didn't deal with her pain, right? And so because of that, it trickled over, and what happened was she ended up affecting not only herself, but us and my dad and her family. And so if you're not willing to deal with the current situation that you're in, and you're not, and I'm not saying like, oh, it's easy, just move past it or anything like that. But, you know, in a moment of understanding that you're going through something and you're going through some trials and tribulations, and you got a lot of things going on in your heart, it's really healthy to pretty much just stand up and fight for yourself, is what you're doing when you go to counseling. And when you get in front of a professional and you say, hey, this is what's going on and I need some help because I don't want this to continue. And so anyways, yeah, absolutely. I would definitely be an advocate for those things, for sure.
Well, that's good. And I'm liking how you're elaborating and explaining everything that's going on, because, you know, I like the guests who really elaborate and explain what they're saying. No offense to the guests I had in the past who's watching this, but, you know, for the past guests they have been elaborating. Only been a few that may have not elaborated as much, but I'm loving this elaboration, you know, because it's great to get some info, because you don't know who the Lord you don't know who may be impacted by the Lord, you know, through watching this.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And how long have you been rapping, you know?
So I've been making music. Growing up, of course, I listened to a ton of rap and just finding inspiration within that. But I didn't actually start rapping until I was actually in my gap year out of high school. So probably the last 3 years I've been doing it. I've pretty much been taking it serious the last 2, just with how the goodness that's come from it, and just the passion that I have through it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good. That's good. So, with you, how long you have been doing it, like, how did you really get into the love of it? Like, how you really truly got into the love of, like, spreading the gospel through rapping?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think this is a really good question because I think like if you were to look at it, there's a lot of people doing music, right? And life is pretty
Yeah.
short. You know what I mean? Um, and what I'm trying to do is because, and this isn't any hate on any Christian rap. There's a lot of Christian rappers out there who are doing some wonderful stuff, and they got great hearts of what they're doing. But sometimes, especially in this world we live in today, a lot of the Christian rap can be a little somewhat cheesy and a little kind of just not what people are really trying to look for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not no judgment to them or anything like that. But I think through what I'm trying to do, and this is pretty much kind of where I thought why I loved NF so much and why I still love his music so much is because um, I'm a Christian who raps, and I'm somebody who is willing to bring my pain to the table, but also bring the hope in the pain to the table. And I don't necessarily like. I don't want to be labeled as a specific type of artist because I think that hinders the type of people that I could reach. However, whatever it is that, I'm honored and I'm super thankful to be able to be where I'm at and just the way that the Lord's been really moving in my heart and in my life and my music and just all the, the messages and all the crazy things that's happened is truly for his glory. And I'm just a vessel through it. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it on that sense.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you make beats or edit your videos, or do you have like people do that for you?
Yeah, I've got a good team that works with me. I got a really good my film. When it comes to my videos, I got a good film team behind me. Got a couple people that help edit and film. When it comes to beats, though, I have a buddy of mine who makes some beats, but a lot of them I actually just find through YouTube. And I take those beats and obviously, I buy the rights to them and then I kind of do some, some edits to them and make them into my own. And then I lay down my vocals and get it mixed and mastered. So, yeah, it's been a journey. I've learned a lot about that process of things. And honestly, to be honest with you, I've really enjoyed performing and I've really enjoyed like when I release everything. But when it comes to like writing and recording and finding the beats, like I think that's my favorite process of but when you're making music and when you're rapping, and I think it's just one of the coolest parts is just like the creation process is definitely one of my favorite aspects of this career. So
and that's great, because some people don't like the process, and you got to realize that when you're doing things, you got to go through the process. Rather you're starting small, or if you're big, you still got to go through the process of what needs to be done for that. Just like for me, after I finish this recording, I gotta process this, edit this as well, and do what I gotta do. And some people may say, "Oh, it's even worse for people like me who are alone and don't have a team. It may be worse." But at the end of the day, it's still not bad because you still can edit. You still have fingers on your hands. So, that's great. That's great. You have an editing team and everything. But did you ever like did it on your own before you had your team?
Yes, absolutely. When I first started in my gap year, I mean, pretty much, I grew up around I've got a lot of friends that when I grew up and everything. So pretty much I've been pretty blessed to be able to like have a lot of people around me. But yes, I mean, even before I started making music, I was actually doing a lot of like vlogging things. With YouTube, I was running a vlog channel. And I was the only one that was recording everything and editing everything. And it's cool because I feel like the Lord allowed me to like kind of go through that to help me in kind of what I'm doing now. But yeah, I mean, I've especially when it comes to like the music thing, when it comes to like a rapping aspect. And of course, I've got a lot of good input from a lot of people, but everything that I'm doing is pretty self-taught. I have never taken like any kind of class or anything like that. And I've just invested in myself is pretty much what I've done and spent a lot of hours in the studio and learning different things. And I still like, I still have a long way to go. And I feel like what the Lord wants to do through me, and it's nothing for me. It's all for the glory of the Lord, but I still have a long way to go. And I'm just excited just to see how, you know what I mean? Like you grow up and playing this, you just get better and better and better. So.
Yeah. Do you have any other passions or interests, outside of Christian rapping, before or after, you now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up playing basketball pretty much since I was 2 years old, and that's pretty much what has been the main thing in my life. Got me up to. I played all throughout growing up, and I actually, kind of make a long story short, I actually got cut from the basketball team in high school, and luckily I just kept continuing to work and continue to improve myself. And I was a super late bloomer. I had a hard time growing, and I've always struggled with being like smaller and not as pretty skinny, and not being able to compete with some of those guys. I grew up in a really competitive class, and anyways, when I took that gap year, I just kept working, and the Lord just totally blessed me with an opportunity to walk on to a college down in Dallas called Dallas Christian College, and I ended up walking on there, and pretty much started my career there, and played 2 years on the varsity program there, and then luckily got a scholarship from there to come play at Arizona Christian University. That's where I'm currently at now. But yeah, when it comes to passions and stuff, I think I've been doing basketball my whole life, and then music kind of came up in the last recent years. And I think it's easy, especially when you're doing something for your whole life, it's easy to get burnt out. It's easy to kind of, always like you're doing something, you kind of forget how much you love it. And with music, it's kind of helped me been able to bounce back and forth. Like there's days where I'm like, man, I'm on fire for this music, and there's on days where I'm on fire for basketball. Of course, it's all for the Lord, but anyways, so definitely.
Yeah, and it's normal to have burnouts. It's always normal to like have burnouts, you struggle, because I have burnouts sometimes too when you're having so much content to bash out. Pre-recording these things before they release, and for me in the past, I used to always release the video. I feel that slumps are a way of forcing you to take a break instead of you willingly take a break the day before. But I had to realize if I do it weeks ahead, I'll be more better, because if you do it weeks ahead, you'll feel better. So, thank the Lord for that, and thank the Lord for allowing me to, change my perspective on that. And, hopefully this allows someone to change your perspective on this as well. And, any advice that you can give to people who are dealing with burnouts?
Oh, man. I mean, I think it depends on like why they get, I think honestly, at the end of the day, it just comes down to your why behind what you're doing. And there's a lot of people that, there's a lot of people saying, hey, I want to make music. I want to be an artist. I want to play basketball at the highest level. But if you don't have like a true why in what you're doing, and if you don't have a true purpose behind what you're trying to pursue, I think it's easier to get burnt out that way. If you're chasing something, and if you're really passionate about something, and you're missing that key piece of why you're doing it, I think that's kind of can be detrimental to somebody's pursuit in a career or a passion or a dream that they might have. And so I think just any advice to give that person would just to say, hey, just remember your why. Take some time and spend some time on your own and with the Lord, and just seek out really why you're doing what you're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's good to, sometimes I always say this too, sometimes I think burnouts and slumps are just a reason, from God to tell you like, hey, you need to take a break because you may be doing it too much. You may need to relax yourself. Cause I always believe that slumps are chosen by God, because God doesn't want us to do that thing at the moment. He wants us to take a break. Because, I always say burnouts and slumps are two different things. Burnouts are just when you're burnt out. Slumps are just when you're declining out of the blue. Like you're just randomly out of thoughts because, hey, the Lord is telling you, stop. So, that's just what happens sometimes. Yeah. I just believe that, I believe that he does that, because God wants us to get better and better, for him, for the kingdom. Right. So, how would you really want your music to impact people to reach Christ?
Well, I think it's something that I've always told people, and something that I've always kind of kept in my heart, and pretty much what, led me to surrendering my life to Christ. I think just to know that, well, number one, know that God's not up there with his arms crossed, marking every wrong move. He sent his one and only son, and he died on the cross for us because he wanted to offer us a relationship again, right? And it's not so much about this religious aspect of where you got to do all these duties and follow all these rules and try to act like you got it all together, because Jesus came for the people that don't have it together. And that's deep side of our hearts. That's all of us, you know, we're all lost. We all battle. We're humans. And so through my music, what I'm trying to do is help relate with the people that, and I think it's all of us. I think no matter how much money somebody's making, no matter what their status is in life, I think we're all walking through the wilderness, you know? And that's why it's so important that we have Christ in our life, because he's the one that truly directs us through the wilderness and gets us to where he wants us to go and where he's calling us to go. And so for me, I think through my music, I want to be able to relate with people in the brokenness, because I personally have experienced that, and I'm still experiencing that, right? And so through what I'm doing, I'm trying to say, hey, I'm broken. I'm right here with you. I struggle. I'm a human. You know, I don't have it all together, but I found hope through Christ in those things. And I'm still figuring it out. You know, I think there's a lot of people that like think like, man, once I've surrendered my life, once I'm actually start really walking with Christ, then like it's over. You know what I mean? But Jesus said himself, he said, you'll have many trials and tribulations, but you can have peace because I've overcome the world, you know? Have courage and take a stance in that. So through my music, I think that's pretty much what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to push. And, you know, I don't want to claim to be somebody I'm not. I don't want to claim to be perfect. I don't want to claim that I have it all together, that I got all the answers, that I'm something special, because I'm not. I'm just a human who is simply just a vessel for Christ to use to push the name of the Lord, but also push this saying that, hey, I'm right here with you, and I understand what you're going through in a sense, and here's what I've been through. And so anyways, yeah.
And, you know, to add on what you're saying, you know, God does not see favoritism. You know, we are all not perfect. You know, we're all just human. We all got flesh and blood. You know, we were born in the flesh, you know, born in a world of sin, you know. So, you know, we all make mistakes. We all do things. And, you know, I like how you really put in that perspective, because, you know, that's what people got to realize. Like, you know, you can't just reach everyone from the top, you know, and this really goes in the Christian community as well. You know, not all of us are like this, but, you know, some people can never, you know, go to the big people. They have to start to the small people as well, the people who aren't doing as well. So we can all get to the same level for Christ, you know? So I like what you're saying, man. I really like what you're really elaborating, explaining, and just really, you know, conducting what you're saying for what your purpose is.
No, thank you.
But you're welcome. The two final question is, what is your why and what do you want your legacy to be?
That's a good question, man. My why at its core is just to leave the world better than how I found it, honestly. I've been talking about this a lot through this interview, and I just, you know what I mean? I don't want to claim like I'm somebody that I'm truly not. I just want to push the idea of saying, hey, I'm a broken human. I'm an imperfect person pursuing a perfect God. And I'm on this journey just as much as anybody else. And through my music, I want to be able to bring people along, and say, hey, this is the direction that is the best direction that Christ would call us to go. And so, but yeah, my why is, number one, to leave the world better than how I found it. That's for sure. That's for sure my mission. And obviously, you know, to love the Lord with all my heart, soul, and mind. And number two, love one another. And through that, through what I'm doing, through what I'm creating, through what it is that Christ has inspired me to do. And also, I do a lot of, I'm not sure if you're familiar with my TikTok or not, but I do a lot of B-roll. We get like B-roll shots of some cinematic shots. What was your second question?
Oh, my second question was, what do you want your legacy to be? And, you know, to reverse that, what do you want your legacy to be for Christ, to make it sound better?
Right, that's great, man. That's a good question. I think my legacy, I just want to have a great God story. You know, I think I just want to be able to say, hey, I want people to be able to look at what I'm doing, look at who I am, and say, you know what, this dude definitely wasn't perfect, and he definitely, you know, not necessarily made a lot of mistakes, but I think at the end of the day, just a humble servant of Christ. You know, I think that's what I want my legacy to be. I want to, and of course, I'm not perfect in this, and I have different battles and struggles and whatnot, but my legacy want to be left behind is just knowing people knowing that I was just a friend of Christ. I'm just a friend of Jesus. And of course, he's the King of Kings. He's the Alpha and Omega. He's the dude that I'm kneeling in front of course. But also he offers us that friendship, and that's that one-on-one connection that is so vitally important that we have. And so if anybody's gonna write anything or whatever it is that they might say, the legacy behind what I'm doing is just to know that he was just a friend of Jesus, and Christ inspired him to, through his music and through what he was doing, to just remind people that first and foremost to love the Lord with all their heart, soul, and mind, and number two, love one another. And if there's people that relate to my story, and there's people that relate to what I've been through, and hopefully I can help the people in what they're going through, because there's a lot of people on this earth that have gone through even worse things than what I've personally been through, you know? And so just to be able to bring everyone together, and so that's pretty much it, man.
Yeah. I really enjoy what you were saying. I'm thankful that, you're doing your motivational speaking, because I really liked what you were doing. And,
thank you.
It's great to be an ambassador for Christ. You're welcome, man. This is Max Walter. He is a Christian artist. He is a basketball player currently attending the Christian University, Arizona. So hopefully you enjoyed this wonderful podcast show. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. And thank you, Max, for joining the show.
Thank you, my man.
God bless you, man.
You too, my man.